Hello and welcome to Border Talk. In this video we're going to look at the year I've had with James since he was given to me for my birthday. Good morning YouTube, welcome to Border Talk. I'm Chris. Today we're taking a look at everything I've done to James in the year that I've had him. This will mostly be a photo slideshow with a few short clips thrown in. I'm afraid you're going to have to put up with voiceover, Chris, as most of this is going to be photos and voiceover. We start with the day James was given to me. Here's me and my daughter taking the ribbon off the car on my birthday. James was just shy of 95,000 miles when he was given to me. You'll note the temperature display is wrong. This was one of two faults declared on the car when my wife bought it. These next pictures are the day after my birthday, the first photos I took of the outside of the car. Next up, we've got the first change that I made on James. It came with a CarPlay only stereo and I've swapped it out for a unit that has Android Auto as well. It was one I had lying in the garage. The screen wash jets, or as I call them, the scoosher jets, were broken, and it turns out that the original Alfa Romeo scoosher jets are unobtainium. The originals are tucked under the back edge of the bonnet and it's quite an awkward place to try and fit some kind of universal jet, so what I've done is I fitted wiper arm mounted scoosher jets instead. My next job, the original key was looking worn, so I've replaced the outer case with a case that I bought on eBay. I thought the headlights could do with a little bit of improvement, so I've upgraded the headlight bulbs to the Osram night breakers. The next job was to deal with that incorrect outside temperature display. A sensor was bought for £9.99 on eBay and installed into the driver's side mirror, and now the outside temperature display is accurate and the climate control works properly. For those that don't know, the climate control on these Alfa Romeos does take a reading from the outside temperature, so when it was reading at minus 25 degrees Celsius, the climate control was putting extra heat into the cabin, thinking it was extremely cold outside. The next job, and common on these 939s, was that the gear knob was worn. Fortunately, you can just replace the silver plastic bit and it's quite cheap. And the next bit that I did was the Alfa Romeo badges on the outside were looking worn, so I fitted these black and silver badges which stick over the originals. James just wouldn't be an Alfa if something didn't break. I was in the house working and I heard a bang from outside. When I went outside, I found James with some super lows. The spring seat had corroded and broken away from the strut. Springs and shocks were bought from Napa and new top mounts from KYB. The lows looked cool, but the handling was ruined. And yeah, this shocker was properly corroded. I've also chucked a new wheel bearing on at the front left hand side and an upper wishbone as well, because the originals were squeaking. That's the other fault that was declared when James was bought. And the next job in the same day was one of the rear door locks, and apparently I didn't take any pictures of doing that job, so just here's the eBay listing. Now the reversee, which I fitted at this same time. So this is a handy little LED strip that sits below the rear number plate. I've set it up with a button and a relay, so the reversee doesn't come on every time with a reverse light. You need to engage it separately. It makes a big difference for reversing up my driveway. Now that I've got a working Alfa, I've took him for a wee celebratory trip to the Carter bar, and then the Alfa is an Alfa again. The rear struts let go this time with the same failure method as the front. So the spring seat has corroded off the strut and dropped right down. Went and bought another pair of Napa shocks and springs and got them fitted on the car. James is sitting higher now, and I was hoping the suspension would settle, but as we know, that hasn't happened. While I was changing the rear struts, I clocked that the rear drop links had torn gaiters, so I've got 2 new drop links on the rear as well. Now he's back on the road again, it's time to recreate a shot I took with a previous Italian car I owned. And here is that car, a 2008 Fiat Bravo T-Jet. So this was the first car show that I took James to. It was the Italian Car Day at the Motorist in Sherburn and Elmet back in March 2025. This was also a social day with Furious Driving. Matt of Furious Driving had hoped to have his Alpha 159 at the show, but it wasn't ready, so he brought his 145 Cloverleaf instead. And while we were at the show, I found another 159 James Bond edition. Oh no, a warning light on the dash now. What the Alpha? Fortunately this one's not too scary, and I've seen it a few times since. Then I've taken my daughter up to Edinburgh and we did a bit of plane spotting at Edinburgh Airport. Not long after that we did a bit more plane spotting near the Museum of Flight when I took my dad on a driving experience. So now it's time to get a little bit Birkin here. This silver 159 is going to give up its front subframe for James. Strapped it to the roof of the daily driver and brought it home for touching up, and it's turned out really well. This is the one that came out. Safe to say it's only fit for the bin. It's cracked near the wishbone mount, it's got holes in it, it's got more holes in it, it's got more holes in it. That bit's not meant to look like that, and you shouldn't see daylight through that bit. With the new subframe bolted up, and we've also fitted a pair of new lower arms, James is now a lot more structurally sound at the front, but unfortunately there was more rust to be found. This is turning into a slightly bigger job than I first anticipated, and as I poked at the sills I decided it was better just to replace the entire length of the outer sills with repair panels. So a pair of repair panels were ordered up and these were going to get fitted on. This is some big work which actually happened either side of our summer holiday last August. So the car spent quite a while up in the jack stands. But let the welding commence. While I'm in here, I'm going to fabricate a new support bracket for the squisher bottle. Here's the sill welded in place at the back and tacked along its entire length, which I've then welded in between each of the tacks to make one solid weld right the way along. The inner wings were patched up as well. Everything was given a good coat of MDS Europe's anti-corrosion primer. The air filter bracket was just as rotten as the squisher bracket, so I've fabricated a new air filter bracket as well. After lots of work, it's starting to look like a car again. Let's get the wheels and bumper back on and get him back on his wheels and ready for an MOT. Which he failed. So the fails were the near side and offside headlamp aims too low. The tester adjusted them on the day, but the parking brake efficiency was low and he couldn't get that to come up. Didn't matter what he tried, and it turned out I needed to adjust the cables a bit. However, after some adjustment he went back in and he's passed. So we've got 4 advisories there. Near side rear outer brake disc pitted. That was just a bit of pitting underneath where the brake pad had been sitting while the car was up in the jack stands. The rear subframe's got heavy corrosion. We'll need to plan and replace the rear subframe at some point in the future, which will no doubt be a future video. The rear exhaust, I had used a repair clamp which had a silicone clamping piece in it. The testers marked that down as saying it was rubber, but it's actually silicone, so it's fine. And the last one was basically brake pipes covered in underseal, which they were because everything was sprayed in underseal when I put it all back together. With an MOT pass, it's time for the second show that I took James to, which was Rustival at the British Motor Museum in early September 2025. What started out as a nice day turned a wee bit wet by the end of the show. But I did manage to get James alongside Matt Furious Driving's own 159. Matt's 159 was a 2.4 diesel that he'd found in a field. He ended up having to replace the engine and then got it back on the road, MOT'd and roadworthy. Matt has since sold his 159. A wee while later, here we are, we're up at the Fife Ice Arena with my friend Lewis's Octavia. And next up, we're doing a quick visual improvement at the front of James. Can you spot it? Another common issue on the 939s is the front fog lights yellowing. So we've bought a pair of aftermarket replacement fog lights and put them on, which has made a big difference at the front end. October saw me taking James over the 100,000 mile mark. In November, we took a trip up to the Falkirk Wheel in the Kelpies. By the way, did you know that Alfa Romeo is Italian? We're nearly caught up with my year with James. Nearly my last repair of the year was with the parking sensors, so I was getting this yellow parking assistance fault light on the dash. When a diagnostic machine was plugged in, it turned out the fault code was relating to an open or short circuit in the reverse parking sensor buzzer. Doing a bit of research, the original Alfa Romeo Fiat unit was quite difficult to find and expensive, like 50 quid for a second-hand one. However, I discovered that the Ford ones are virtually the same, and they're both made by Valeo. So I got a Ford unit for 11 quid and we fitted that onto James. When you put the two side by side, they look identical other than one has Fiat markings, the other has Ford markings. The Ford part fixed the fault, now the parking sensors work and there's no warning on the dash. Now quickly, the last job I've done recently was to replace both side mirror glasses with new units because the heating elements have stopped working. So now when it's foggy, I can turn the heated rear window on and it clears the wing mirrors as well. So there we have it. It's been a busy year with James, and I think it's fair to say I've done an awful lot of work to him that might not have gotten done otherwise. In the next video, I'm going to introduce you to the absolute stalwart or the Border Torque fleet. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel to keep up with my motoring shenanigans. Leave a comment with your thoughts. Compliments, criticisms, it's all welcome, just keep it respectful. This is Border Torque. I've been Chris, and I'll see you in the next one. Tatty bye for now.